So today we're going to be talking about The Settlers, the documentary done by Louis Theroux, which is basically letting the Israeli settlers talk for themselves. It's not talking about them, it's not narrating things, it's just letting them show the world how they think and how their vicious, violent religion is telling them to do. And in here, I just want to clarify that I am talking about those Jews who are in Israel and who thinks that their God has promised them this land and that their God is actually okay with them killing millions of Palestinians across the years to get their promised land. And my only thought in here, if you're the chosen people of God, why would he give you an already populated land? If you were the chosen people of God, why were we created? You could simply be the only people on this earth, and God would prevent us from the sufferings, prevent the Palestinians from the despair and misery and the slaughter, and prevent us from the depression that we are living, looking at our governments just ignoring our will to see a free Palestine and to see them act against the genocide. The depression because of the pictures of shredded and tortured children that were calling for help. It will just haunt us forever. Like some of the pictures I would never forget, would never forgive anyone who let this happen on this earth. So there's some points I would like to talk about is for those people who didn't watch the documentary, how the settlers think. So somehow there is a common point between all of them, which is every single one of them denies the existence of Palestine, and not just deny it normally, it's deny it with like you feel like they're being offensive and super offensive over the interviewer telling them, what about Palestine? What about the Palestinian territories and people? And they start yelling, no, 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 don't tell us that. Don't talk about these people. They do not exist, which is so terrifying. So it feels like they are well aware of the truth, but they're trying to deny it. And they feel like if someone tells them the truth, it reminds them of how they lied for decades about this promised land, which is basically a lie that starts in schools, in families, and between themselves. So they're growing up with this lie until it became somehow true to them. And somehow they don't have this human empathy, and they don't have something that we all humans have. And it feels like all of them are okay with the killing. In fact, that they go in a spot where they can clearly see Gaza being bombed continuously, and they can clearly feel the despair of people. And it's just images of the destruction they're looking at. It's just complete destruction they're looking at, and they're enjoying it, and they're planning how to settle on that land after it's be completely wiped out. So they have no remorse, no guilt, no shame, no nothing. And it shows you how evil they are and how they are really, really, really so dangerous to the whole world. They have the amount of hate that no normal person could carry for people. And the second thing, they're openly talking about settling in Gaza and in the West Bank. And if anyone who's watching me, just ask yourself this question: would I be okay to kill someone to live in their place? Would I be okay to live on the blood of innocent people who were ripped off everything? In fact, there was many incidents where these immoral armies of these immoral people has been stripping people off of their clothes in streets, stripping women off of their clothes in streets in front of their families, children, and it's somehow a way of humiliating the men and letting them feel that they are not capable of protecting their women. And the fact that all of these people are weaponless and have no arms, not something to defend themselves, is wild. So you come to people who cannot defend themselves and you strip them off their clothes, and then you took them to prisons, and then you humiliate them. They can't even look to the eyes of their families. They can't even look to themselves. It's just unimaginable what's happening in Palestine. Should be told to every single person and should be taught in every single school, so that the people of this world would know that, would never forget the massacres and the despair that is caused by Israel. Something else is that the atmosphere you get when you're watching this movie is that they are lying and they want to force people to believe their lies. They only believe that what they want should be done, and They want people to believe what they say and do not ask questions. This is how it feels like. And in fact, they are a lot of them are talking about how all of Palestine and all of Lebanon are parts of their promised land. Is so scary, because if they said about Palestine that it doesn't exist and that it was unpopulated land and there was no people on it, what would they say about Lebanon? That it's just a country in our present day. We know the people of this country. I wonder what lies will be promoted about Lebanon. In fact, they're bombing it right now. In fact, they are taking territories from all across the countries that are next to them, which is really scary. The scariest point that I have seen is that all of them have guns and very advanced weapons. And I don't think that every person have the access to these weapons they are carrying. It's not just guns. It's like those big weapons that shouldn't be in the hands of a normal citizen, which shows you that they are not a normal state. It's just a colonial entity that is built on occupation, that it's built on the blood of the Palestinians by force. This is why all of them carry weapons, and they are saying that we feel scared that the Palestinians would attack us. But in fact, Palestinians do not have access to the weapons you have. You are all armed, all ready for something that's not going to happen. And in fact, because of this endless support for the settlers to have guns and weapons and arms, a lot of incidents happened across Palestine with Israelis shooting Palestinians, either killing them or leaving them with lifelong disabilities, injuries, and it's just so heartbreaking. And in fact, I already talked about this one last week. A farmer in the West Bank was shot by a settler, and what they did is that they detained his son, and then they forcefully ampute his leg. They didn't even give them the right to choose what to do for themselves. And back to my point about the documentary, so a lot of them were with the fact and the idea of killing as much as they can of the Palestinians and starving them. And they were okay with destroying every single hospital and preventing Palestinians from medical aids, which is not just a sociopathic ideas, but it shows you something. If you have the control on an area and you have the control to decide whether they have food or not, and you have the power to decide whether they have medical aid or not, this shows you who the oppressors are. You are already showing the world that you have enough power to starve these people and to kill them and to kill their children and to use unethical ways of sterilizing the people of Palestine. In fact, there has been a practice that Israelis do is shooting the private parts of the males and also shooting women. I think that in Israeli prisons there has been this practice of trying medical experiences on the prisoners and also using them in operations, amputing their legs, their arms, their fingers forcefully. You know, if this reminds you of something, this was done by the Nazis. This was what the so-called Western civilized countries told us about the Nazis. And now we see the more advanced picture of the Nazis of nowadays, which are Israelis. And in fact, that some people are have the gut to come and say that the interviewer was only showing extremist settlers. You as a settler and as Israeli, you accepted what your government is doing to these people in the first place if you came and lived in Israel. So if you have a heart, somehow you have a heart, leave that land. Your existence is causing the misery and the destruction of the whole Middle East. You are causing the ethnic cleansing of a whole people because of your existence and your acceptance of being in that land. So this is, I hope that the world wake up. I hope that the world wake up and see what is colonization doing to our world.